Setting goals. So setting goals is extremely important as a Turo host, especially when you're first starting off, because this will allow you from not getting discouraged. If you don't allow yourself to set goals, it will be extremely hard for you to remain resilient within this Turo market because of the fact that you have so much competition, and depending on your type of car, it's going to fluctuate your level of success within the Turo market. So when I say setting goals, I mean that, okay, if you first start off as a Turo host, you need to have a goal in mind, whether it be a dollar amount or it be an actual amount of bookings and reservations that you would like to reach, and something that's actually possible and attainable. So like, let's say, prime example, I'm a brand new Turo host. I'm starting in the month of May, and I would like to reach $600 profit for the month of May. Or instead of doing a money thing, let's just say I would like to have at least 5 bookings for the month of May. So now this is just saying that, let's say all the cards are in my favor. I have a great vehicle. I have a family vehicle. Let's say a Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm in a great location such as Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, and I do amazing. First month, I actually exceed my dollar amount. I actually get $1,000 profit, and I get 8 bookings for that month, just in 1 month alone. So now you are already able to gauge, okay, this first month was this successful. Now, you can't go into it like, okay, I want to have a profit of $3,000 and I also want to have 15 bookings. It's just not possible. Depending on how many days each guest is renting. If a guest rents for 8 days, there's no way you will even have enough days in the month for you to even fulfill that 15 trip reservation. It's just not going to happen. So you want to make sure that you're having reasonable goals and that these goals are attainable within that time frame. For me, I set my goals earlier on. I said I just want to have 2 bookings and I want to make at least $300 profit. I exceeded that with flying colors, and it just kind of put more of a battery on my back, and it made me want to be even more of a greater host, and it wanted me to add more cars to my fleet. So that is heavily, heavily important. Make sure you have a goal in mind. Make sure you actually write it down on your vision board. You write it on your calendar. You write it down on your daily notebook. These are things that are going to be pivotal for your success as a Turo host. Finance or lease, right? So this is a question that a lot of people have. A lot of people want to know, should I finance or should I lease my vehicle? So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of both. So if you finance a vehicle, one thing that you don't have to worry about is a whole bunch of mileage that will mess up your lease contract. So that's a great thing, right? It's because if you got to think about it, if you have a whole bunch of guests that are renting your vehicle and it's leased, let's say you have a $10,000 or a 10,000 mile cap for your vehicle, more than likely, depending on how many miles your guests are driving, you're going to exceed that. So, but another caveat to that is if let's say you lease through Toyota, they're charging you 22 cents extra for each mile. I would charge your guests double that, if not triple that. So for each mile that they go over, you can account for that at the end of your lease. So that's one benefit from both sides. 2, when it comes to leasing a vehicle, maintenance is most of the time covered by that dealership, whether it be Toyota, Honda, BMW, Mercedes-Benz. Most of the time when you have any type of maintenance, sometimes they even add oil change packages to it. That could be covered by the dealership. If you finance, you will have to pay out of pocket for that stuff unless you have a maintenance plan or a warranty plan that came along with the vehicle when you actually finance the vehicle. Third thing, so when you finance a vehicle or if you lease a vehicle, financing your vehicle, you will have to pay more in the very beginning. You will have to pay more as far as over the course of times for each monthly payment than you would have to do for a lease. If you think about it, when you do a lease, you're going to be leasing it for typically 36 months, opposed to you doing an actual loan in which you'll have to do it for 4, 5, 6 years, depending on your financial situation. So that's another thing that you want to kind of account for when you're trying to decipher whether I should do a finance or whether I should do a lease. I'm going to do a whole totally separate video because as I'm talking, I'm actually realizing that there's so many different ins and outs to financing and leasing. But ultimately, if you had to ask me, I would say go the lease route, because if you go the lease route, I feel like it's less that you have to worry about. And depending on how you maneuver yourself, you will be able to break a lease contract and you'll be able to get into a newer car. And leasing a car always keeps you with a new vehicle opposed to you financing a vehicle. So that's always something to keep in mind. You want to make sure you're competitive within the market when it comes to you being a host. Last thing, keep your finances separate. I say that because I would recommend everybody, if you're a Turo host, open up a business account. So you establish yourself an LLC, open up a business account, and you keep everything completely separated. My thing is, for me as a Turo host, I want to keep track and I want to account for each and every expense, whether it be oil changes, whether it be gas, whether it be tires, anything that pertains to the vehicle. I want to keep all that into one pot. Reason being is because now I know for a fact, okay, I put X amount of dollars into into this Honda Civic that I have. So that means that, okay, so now when it comes to me analyzing everything, it's like, okay, so I paid $600 in maintenance, but I also was able to, receive $2,000 as far as me, my profit margin. So now I'm able to actually, balance everything out. If I have it on my personal, as you guys know, your personal transactions, you run through it every day, whether it be gas, groceries, even small stuff, Netflix. So it's just easier to keep all your stuff completely separated that way. So when you have a pot and you have to do an oil change, it's not cutting into your personal pot. You have your whole completely other car pot where whether you have 8 cars, 9 cars, or even just 1 car, it's just best to all keep it under one account. You can account for everything as you start making each transaction, and it's just way easier for you to manage all your finances. Follow us on Instagram, Grow.Build.Learn, and also join our Telegram, in which I will have the link below. I will see you guys in the next video.